Hello and welcome to a short video about algebraic fractions. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be thinking about multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions and then adding and subtracting the algebraic fractions. And the key thing really for you to remember is that you can just use the same rules as you do when you're dealing with numbers. So if I've got these here, 5x over 3 multiplied by 10 over 2x squared, I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. So if I multiply across the top, that would give me 50x. That would give me 6x squared on the bottom. But to try and make things easier, we can do some cancelling before we start. Now when we're cancelling, what's really important to remember is that you can only cancel if you're multiplying. So on the top here I've got 5x, and on the bottom I've got 2x squared, or 2 times x times x. So on the top and the bottom I'm multiplying by x. So I can cross one of those out each. And sometimes people find that easier to make that 10 over 2xx. If I multiply across the top, I'll get 50. And when I multiply across the bottom, I get 6x. Look at this next one here. I've got y minus 5 over y plus 1 divided by y plus 2 over y plus 1. When I divide, if you remember a fraction, I change the divide into a times and then flip the second fraction. And we can do exactly the same. So here I'll have y minus 5 over y plus 1 times y plus 1 over y plus 2. Now what's really good here is that I can cross out the whole of the y plus 1 because I've essentially multiplied top and bottom by one lot of y plus 1. What I can't do is cross out the y's here. So look, I'm going to end up with y minus 5 over y plus 2. I can't cross out those y's because I'm adding and subtracting from those y's, not multiplying with those y's. So even though I've got a y on the top and a y on the bottom, I can't cross them out. Now when we get slightly more complicated, bigger questions like these, it becomes more obvious why you want to do some crossing out before you multiply if you can. So if I'm looking here, on the top I've got x squared, remember that's x times x. On the bottom here I've got an x to the power 4. So I'm going to make that x squared. Now with that x squared at the top there, I can think about that as xx. That x to the 4 could be xxxx. So I'm going to cross out those two x's there. I'm crossing out 2 there, which leaves me with those 2. So that's why that becomes an x squared. If I think about the y's, I've got a y to the power 4 on the top and 1y on the bottom. So that's going to become y to the power 3 and get rid of that y completely. So one of those y's, that y from the bottom takes out one of the y's from the top. A to the power 3 and a squared will just leave me with 1a at the top. Now those z's are both on the top, so they're of course not going to cancel out. What you can do as well is think about your numbers before you start doing anything. The 6 is going to become a 2, and I'm going to get rid of that 3 because the 6 is 2 times 3. So that 3 has gone from the top and the bottom. And of course 10 is 2 times 5, and I've got a 5 on the bottom. So that 5 is going to cancel out with the other 5. Now, it should be a bit easier for me to actually work out this answer. On the top, I've got 2 times 2, so I've got 4. Y to the power 3, z squared. And on the bottom, I've got b and x squared left. Now of course you can just multiply everything together to start with and then do the crossing out after. That really isn't a problem. Now sometimes what you need to do is factorise before you start doing anything else. If we have a look at this question, I'm going to just rewrite this to start with as 2x plus 4 over 3xy times x over x plus 2. Now remember, flip that second fraction and turn the divide into a times. Now 2x plus 4 factorises to 2 lots of x plus 2. Of course that's over 3xy times x over x plus 2. And the reason I wanted to do that is I can now do some crossing out. So I'm timesing by x plus 2 on the top and the bottom. I'm also timesing by x top and bottom. So that's going to give me 2 over 3y. Now sometimes we need to factorise quadratics, but it's not going to make any difference. It's going to be the same sort of idea. So let's just quickly rewrite this as a times. So if you remember, turn that divide into a times and flip the second fraction upside down. Now x squared plus 6x plus 8 factorises to x plus 4, x plus 2. If you can't remember how to factorise quadratics, do watch another video as well. Notice the difference of two squares there. 4x minus 10 factorises two lots of 2x minus 5 over x plus 4. Now hopefully you can see why I've wanted to factorise. That allows me to spot these common factors that I can cross out. I've got an x plus 4 top and bottom that I'm multiplying by, so I can cross those out. And I've got a 2x minus 5 that I'm multiplying by. Same sort of thing again now. I've got an x plus 2 on the top and a 2x plus 5 on the bottom. And there's also a 2 on the top there. But I can't cross anything out because they are not multiplying by the same thing. So look, I'll get two lots of x plus 2 over 2x plus 5, which multiplying out would become 2x plus 4 over 2x plus 5. I can't cross out those two x's because the top is the whole package is 2x plus 4 and the bottom is 2x plus 5. I'm not multiplying by 2x. Now for adding and subtracting, again we can use the same rules as we use when we're dealing with numbers. Now using what we just thought about and crossing out on top and bottom, I can make this into 3y over 2x. I've got that common factor of 2. Now I need to have a common denominator. So my common denominator here is going to be 5xy. All I'm doing is multiplying along the bottom there. Now to get from 5y to 5xy, I've multiplied by x. So I'm going to do the same for the x minus 3. I've got x minus 3. So all I've done there is cross multiply, if you like. I've multiplied my x plus 3 by x. Very, very similarly, I'm going to need to multiply my 3y by 5y. So I'm getting plus 3y 5y. We can then simplify some things that we have here. I've got x squared minus 3x plus 15y squared all over 5xy. And again, note there are no common factors anywhere, so there's nothing that I can cross out. Now in this one, I'm not just going to make my common denominator 54, of course just multiplying the bottoms. It would work and it's absolutely fine, but I'm going to just try and think about the lowest common multiple. And here is 18. And the reason I want to do that is it just makes the next step a little bit quicker, and it makes it particularly quicker when we're dealing with algebra, as we will be in a minute. So I think about how do I get from 9 to 18? Well, to get from 9 to 18, I've multiplied by 2. So I need to multiply that 2x by 2 to get 4x. How do I get from 6 to 18? I've times by 3. So I'm going to times that 5x by 3 to get 15x. So overall, I've got 19x over 18. Sometimes we might need to deal with quadratics. It's going to be exactly the same sort of idea again. Let's factorise the bottom there. So I've got 5 over x plus 2 x plus 1 minus 2x over x plus 1. Now you'll note on the bottom there I've got x plus 1 in both parts. So my common denominator is going to be x plus 2 x plus 1. The x plus 2 x plus 1 is obviously already there below the 5. And I can get from x plus 1 to x plus 2 x plus 1 very, very easily. So I haven't had to do anything to x plus 2 x plus 1, so that's just going to stay as a 5. To get from x plus 1 to x plus 2 x plus 1, I've multiplied by x plus 2. So it's going to be minus 2x, because I've got to times the top by the same, 2x x plus 2. So that gives me 5 minus 2x squared minus 4x over x plus 2 x plus 1. Now 5 minus 2x squared minus 4x doesn't factorise, but if it did, you would then factorise that and look for anything you can cross out. This next example, 9 over 3x squared minus 3y squared. plus x over xy minus x squared. Now, as I have done before, the first thing I want to do here is factorise. That's going to be 9 over 3 x squared minus y squared plus x over x, y minus x. And the reason I wanted to do that is I can now do some crossing out. That 3 is going to cancel with part of that 9 there to make that a 3 on the top. So of course 9 is 3 times 3. And those x's are going to go, so that'd be 1 over y minus x. And now I can do some more factorising. I've got 3 over x plus y, x minus y. Again, note the difference of two squares there, plus 1 over y minus x. Now we need to do a little trick here, and it's a good trick to remember. What I'm after is writing this as simply as possible. If I could, it's perfectly valid to have 3 brackets on the bottom, but we don't need to this time. We're going to use the fact that a minus b is the same as minus b minus a. What that will allow me to do here is to make this 3 over x plus y, x minus y, minus 1 over x minus y. Effectively what I've done is multiplied top and bottom by minus 1. And the reason that that's helpful is that I've now got x minus y on the bottom twice. So my common denominator is going to be x plus y, x minus y. Of course I've not had to do anything to the 3, so it just stays as a 3. To get from x minus y to x plus y, x minus y, I'm timesing by x plus y, so it's going to be minus 1 lots of x plus y, which we can simplify to 3 minus x minus y over x plus y, x minus y. So there's a few tricks to remember. When we're dealing with algebraic fractions, look for things that you can factorise. Make sure that you're crossing out any common factors top and bottom. Use the same rules you use when you are dealing with number fractions. And remember this little trick to make positives into negatives if it makes it easier. A minus b is the same as minus b over a. It's effectively multiplying the top and the bottom by minus 1. I hope that helps. Thanks very much.